Hello. Today we're going to talk about the Tchaikovsky excerpt from the NYO audition for the 2025 NYO. And it's the Tchaikovsky Sixth Symphony, the beautiful viola moment in that first movement when the violas play this wonderful, long, great excerpt. So I'm really excited to do it because I really love to play this piece and it's awesome to practice. It's helpful for many things. We can learn so many things. We can learn some about really nice spiccato. We can learn about some melodic things. We can do some saltando. There's all sorts of things to do. And we just go step by step and figure out how to maximize our performance using this piece, the Tchaikovsky Sixth Symphony excerpt for the viola for the NYO Audition 2025. So let's get started right away. At the beginning, we have this iconic viola beginning with a real melody, a little bit of an off the string, but a beautiful sound is needed on the A string, and we need to carry the tune. Like so. Now it starts piano, but remember, it is a viola moment. So a viola moment that's a piano, let's bump that up to a mezzo piano, even a mezzo forte. So if we play too softly, it sounds just a little bit muted and a little bit scared, and we really want to play out. So I'm just going to play it a little bit more and make sure that I hear those hairpins, the crescendo and the diminuendo. I put a little extra vibrato on that D there, but I do make sure that I vibrate the first two notes, like so. And what's really important is that those first two notes are very even. So remember, when you play excerpts, you always want the first few notes to sound great. You always want at the top of your piece, you want to show your strength as a player. So two things, very even. I feel like I'm scooping ice cream here. Scoop, scoop. You'll notice that my bow doesn't move straight across, but it scoops. So I call it a dancing bow, like this. So here, so the bow is always going to be working on a curve like this, rocking on the string. Like so. And then I'm going to sing the 16th notes without altering the rhythm. So. Now the next part is hard because we have this rhythm, this bowing, which is two slurred, two separates, and then it goes into separates, and we want slightly off the string sound, which we can get without really lifting the bow too much. But it's written to play up bow. I started down bow because when I do that, then the ending can come out much more evenly. So let's try that. I like to play the end with a down bow. If I start up bow, I have to end up bow. So I'm going to start that down bow. And you'll see I'll keep the bow really close to the string. Sometimes I'll put a little extra sound at the end so that I end with authority. A lot of people try to diminuendo there, but then when you do that, it starts to feel a little timid, and I really don't want a big viola line to be timid. So that would sound something like this. It also tends to rush. So don't be afraid to play. When you play these excerpts, don't be afraid. Just try to show what you can do and enjoy the music. Our overall thing in playing music, our overall goal is to show people how beautiful music is. And as a viola player, the goal is to show how beautiful the music is and to show how beautiful the viola is as an instrument. So remember that. So don't worry too much Am I soft enough? Am I loud enough? Worry more about what does this sound like? Is this showing the beauty of the music and the beauty of the viola? And that way we'll always have a good performance. So that beginning can sound something like that. We keep our tempo steady. I usually play somewhere between about 110 and 116 as a tempo when I practice with a metronome. So the next part is just 8 notes, the first 2 which are slurred, and what I'm looking for here is a good solid spiccato, a good sound, and the fact that I don't rush at the end. Because I hear this a lot, but really, we're just playing in the middle of something, and I want the spiccato on both ends to be nice and even. Like so. Now the next part, we have a pianissimo, so we're going to have to play a little bit less. Now, when you see a pianissimo after a piano, what does that tell me? Well, as I was saying before, since it's an iconic part, we really want not to play too softly. But the fact that there's a pianissimo there on that third line, which is measure 30, the fact that we have that pianissimo means that the piano before it needs to be more. Because I always think, technically speaking, a pianissimo should be half the volume of a piano. So that means my piano needs to be kind of boosted so that when I play the pianissimo, I don't have to play too soft, and yet it will be very soft. So that will sound like this. I play first finger here, and I use a lot of vibrato, especially on the F sharp, which is the top of the hairpin. Like so. Like that. You'll notice that I'm starting to phrase, and I need to make it sound almost like I'm swimming through water, straight through like that. And that way, I want my phrase direction to be going straight forward towards my listener. So now at the beginning, I have this. Like so. Now I want to talk about those rests a little bit. At the top of the page for the NYO audition music, it says, any rests longer than 2 measures should be shortened to 2 measures of rest. So I count about 2 measures. I try to count, but really in a case like this, don't worry that much about that. That's not the most important part. We try to come close, but a lot of times we can't count the rest perfectly, but just get close to it. And when you're playing, don't worry about things. Only worry about how beautiful the music is that you're playing, and your sound is so beautiful, and that we're showing the beauty of the viola. So now we're going to go on. We have another spiccato part. Let's talk about spiccato a little bit. Spiccato can be played many ways. Some people do it by dropping the bow, like this. I personally do it by putting the bow on the string and letting the springy nature of the bow let the bow go off the string. So you'll see that my stroke originates on the string and comes off, like so. So. Like so. Now we have these hairpins. When we have the hairpins, I lower the bow into the string. So let me see if I can show that in slow motion. Like so. After that, we have the 2 up bows with a crescendo. like so. So we need to make sure that we always show those dynamics. So that section will sound like this. Like so. Now I want to talk one more thing about spiccato. It matters greatly what angle the bow is on the string. In other words, I have the stick here and the hair, and I can have a flat hair, which means that my stick is straight above the string. I can have the stick that's leaning towards me, or I can have the stick that's leaning away from me, if you can see that. And when I do a spiccato, the more that I lean the bow away from me, the softer the spiccato. And when the bow is vertical or straight over the string, it has a little bit more of a kind of hard sound. So the sound softens as I lean my stick forward. So the sound will be a little bit harder and a little bit softer feeling. So I'm going to play two ways like that, just a spiccato, so you can hear that. That's... And in this Tchaikovsky piece, I always feel that my bow should be considerably, maybe a 30-degree angle or so, or even 45-degree angle, leaned forward, so that I kind of get that really nice singing sound together with the spiccato. So it's a very clear spiccato, don't get me wrong, but very, very singing. Something like this. That's my first forte of the piece. So I make sure it's a nice sound on that B with lots of vibrato. Now we get to the saltando stroke. So let's talk about that a little bit. Saltando means that I'm going to drop the bow on the string and let it bounce by itself. So that's the saltando. Now here's the thing. I let it bounce by itself. I don't try to bounce here. I see some people trying to bounce it, but it makes it too heavy. So when I do it, I kind of play like there's no saltando. I kind of play it just like I'm playing. Like so. So I start to hear da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. So then I can start to hear the da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum-dum-dum, like that. So even though I'm playing very legato, I'm thinking da-da-da. So I'm playing da-da, and I'm thinking da-da-da. And then I start to just start, instead of starting on the string, I start off the string like that. Now it depends where you play in the bow. If I play up here, it tends to go faster. So I have to start with my bow higher up the string, and then it'll bounce faster, but since I have more space, it'll bounce at the right speed. Or if I play a little bit lower in the bow, I can start with my bow lower. I tend to have more control down here and just let the bow bounce slightly, and that works for me. So that section sounds like this. Like so. Now talking about the part before, there's an accent. There's different types of accents. There's a bow accent. There's a left-hand accent, which we make with vibrato. And there's a bow and left-hand accent, which I use a bow accent and a left-hand accent, which I do here. So I like a nice solid accent. So I'm going to use the bow and the left hand to produce that and not use too much bow in the half note. I want to stop the bow right where I want my spiccato. And then again, I can use more bow here and then get right to where I want my saltando. Lift the bow. And then start the saltando. So I'm planning where my bow is to maximize my bow stroke. Like so. Now the next section at letter B is marked mezzo piano, but I play that a lot more because I'm coming off of a piano section and I want to play nice and strong so that my spiccato is well under control, because there are a lot of string crossings and I have to work hard, especially the string crossing that goes all the way across the instrument. Now you notice when I do that, I use not much arm, but I really manipulate with my fingers because it gives me more control. That was really out of tune at the beginning. Sorry about that. But you get the point. It's kind of a stronger spiccato. When I do the stronger spiccato, remember, I'm going to play a little flatter hair, maybe a little closer to the frog, start on the string, and let the bow kind of hammer the string. Like so. Now the next part is interesting because it's pianissimo. Now I'm going to play much softer and have a big hairpin, and notice that the last three notes here have lines over them, tenuto lines. So I'm going to play warmly with vibrato. I'm going to show those lines by using vibrato. Like so. Now you'll notice I'm talking a lot about detail. Well, one of the keys to doing well in auditions is to really use a lot of detail. So you have to look for things inside the music and you have to bring those things out. That's what makes your playing special. Winning auditions is about playing everything kind of correctly and kind of right. But to me, it's really more about showing something special that you do that really contributes to the orchestra that you want to play in. So that would be something I look after. I like to see that people put a lot of detail in their playing and have thought out their pieces. If you listen to me talking about these pieces, I'm barely just scratching the surface of what I think of them, because I've really gone through them in my lifetime and really looked for detail and how every note fits into things. And we always need to know how we fit in. Now, with that in mind, what's really important here is that not only do you practice these parts here, but you have to listen to many recordings of the pieces and hear what the piece sounds like and how does my instrument fit in with this. We are all kind of a big company here, and we're kind of a big family. And when we have a company or a family, each person, each individual fits into the family to make it the way that it is, or to the company to make the way the company is. So everybody's job is important. And that's like each note is like a person, and each note is important and it contributes in some way. And our job as a musician is to decipher what that job is that that note has and to do that job to the best of its ability. So remember, look for detail. Now the next section is tricky again. I have a funny fingering here that looks like this. Third position. 4, 1, 3. So that's a good idea about a fingering. It's hard to figure that out. And I play this part pretty big, and I like to have a very strong spiccato, but the most important thing to me is that there are two phrases within each phrase. The first part, like this, and then an upbeat. I go to there. So you can always hear the split of the phrase here. That was a little too much. I kind of took time there. But I just wanted to show how you can show the divide of the phrase and it makes it sound right. So. Finally, in this excerpt, we have a little section from the end of the section that is warm and singing. It's really hard to play because I can't really figure out which fingering is best. So I'm going to kind of show you both. You can start in third position. Or you can just play it in first position really and shift up. So let me know in the comments below which of those fingerings you like better and which one you're going to do. But really, either one is okay. If you use the open strings, some people don't like to use open strings in auditions, but you know, when you play an excerpt, it can sound a little bit like a solo piece, and an open string is really not out of the question. You can use the fourth finger, really. Personally, I kind of lean towards nice bright fingering, so I like the open string. I like the openness of the viola. So I'm just going to kind of play this as if I'm playing a beautiful viola solo and not worrying about the orchestral aspect as much. So I might play a little bit more in my dynamic, since it says espressivo, and just kind of play it the way that I like it. Two things I'd like to mention. When I finish this, I like the bow to stop on the string. So that the sound really closes. A lot of people do this. And then it feels like there's really no ending. And make sure the beginning is nice and vibrant. Oh, that's three things, I guess. And the third thing is change your bow really slowly because that makes the piece sound just beautiful and warm. So if you watch my bow changes, they're going to be very, very slow here. Like that. Well, that's kind of a good introduction to this Tchaikovsky sixth excerpt for the NYO audition. I really hope that this is helpful. Please watch the video several times to kind of figure out the way things work. And also, don't forget, listen to recordings of good orchestras playing this piece, and not just one. Listen to many orchestras and start to see what the nuance is between the way that different viola sections play this. And remember, figure out how do my notes fit into this piece. And your job is to show that you can play both as a soloist and that you can fit into that piece there like a glove. And that's how we have a successful audition. And I'd like you to leave your comments below if you have any, or some questions. If you have a question, you can ask me. And good luck working on this audition. A lot of people want to get in, so we need to make sure that we really, really prepare well. A well-prepared audition goes a long way. And until I see you the next time, happy practicing!